Mira Business FM, the sound of success.
Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Majlis on Mira Business FM, where conversations connect and ideas come alive right at midday with myself, Sahar Mushtaq. Before we dive into today's discussion, don't forget that you can catch Midday Majlis live on Mira Business FM, streaming now on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and, of course, Telegram. Our podcast is also available on all your favorite platforms, anytime, anywhere. And today we'll be talking about something very interesting. Loyalty programs are something we all enjoy. Collecting points on flights, shopping, or getting rewards is something that we all love doing. But there's a lot of innovation behind the scenes that makes these programs work seamlessly. So today we have Gabi Kool, the CEO of LoyalLogic, to give us an insider's perspective on these loyalty programs and the technology that's behind it and the trends in 2026 when it comes to the loyalty programs. So happy to have you with us, Gabi.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here, Sarah.
Gabi, you know, your name is Gabi Kool, and you yourself come from a very cool industry, I must say, because we all love getting gifts and rewards and collecting points. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it is a fun industry, right? Like, who doesn't like to give gifts? And we have the chance to do that. So that's an extremely fun industry that we work in, but also a serious industry, because think about it, like giving a gift, if you think of it as a person, that's a serious topic as well. You don't want to give the wrong gift at the wrong time to maybe one of your best friends. Now, we don't give it to our best friends, but we do that on behalf of our clients. So we take the gifting business very seriously in that sense, to try to come up with very memorable and the right gifts for the clients that we work with. So that it's a fun business, but also there's a lot of seriousness behind it, working with the various clients that we have.
Right. And you're right about that you do not want to give a wrong gift to anyone. And there is so much thought, even when if it's like a birthday party that you're going to, there's so much thought that goes into buying a gift for someone because you don't want to give them a wrong gift. So you're right about that. So that makes it even more challenging for when businesses do it in order to meet the consumer's needs and wants.
It's correct. Yeah. So it really starts by understanding, okay, who are you going to give this gift to? What kind of community are you dealing with? And so if you are dealing with members of an airline loyalty program, also there, not everybody is equal, right? And it's also not kind of, you have different tier levels.
Exactly.
Maybe you're platinum level members. But a platinum level member in the US might be very different from a platinum level member in the UAE or in Japan or in Australia. And so you need to find the right balance between what kind of gift is kind of economically feasible for that program to do, but also what will resonate and touch people's hearts, so that when they think back about the gift that they got from that particular program, that they think back with fondness and being seen and rewarded. So it all starts with understanding the community first.
Indeed, yeah. And I would like you to also tell us about the inception of LoyalLogic. How did it start? Where did it start? And what was the vision behind it?
Yeah, so that's a very fun and interesting story. It's like 2005, so more than 2 decades ago, LoyalLogic was founded by a Swiss entrepreneur, thinking about how could he bring more value to all those frequent flyers who were flying around and earning miles, but could only exchange them for free flights. And he thought, like, why not think of creating a global rewards marketplace?
So this actually started keeping the aviation industry in mind.
Yes, it's actually the very first kind of client for LoyalLogic was actually Etihad Airways back in 2005, at a time when the airline still only had 2 aircraft and a very grand vision of what they wanted to build.
That's very interesting.
And what, of course, they have been successful in building. So we're extremely proud to have been part of that 20 years journey, that we're still working closely together with Etihad Airways. So that's where the company started originally, by building a global rewards marketplace for that frequent flyer program, which was being created. I think within 1.5 years at that time, Etihad Airways, or Etihad Guest as it's called, won in our industry, every industry got awards, right? So the awards in our industry are called the Freddie Awards. So the best loyalty programs in the world are being recognized in an annual ceremony there. So Etihad actually won after a year and a half the best loyalty program in the world when it was being founded. And from there, well, the journey went upwards. And so basically it was a global rewards marketplace, even before Amazon existed in that sense, where people could use their miles for non-airline gifts. So think Apple, iPhones, think kind of, it can be gift cards, merchandise, can be suitcases, can be anything that you can imagine that might be relevant for members has been offered. And that has allowed us over the years, from the start when we built a company in those days, to be such a global rewards partner, not only for airlines, but also for banking programs or for fast-moving consumer goods brands who want to have loyalty programs around the world. And so it has turned into a fun business with a lot of technology involved, a lot of the right gifts, a lot of the data analytics in there, a lot of innovations. Now we're now basically 20 years further, and we did over €1 billion worth of e-commerce in there. So it's a sizable business, also something that's often not known by we're all consumers ourselves as well of loyalty programs, so we know the front-facing part of loyalty programs. But behind the scenes, there's a lot going on with the technology platforms to keep track of these points and how they're being redeemed, the gifts that need to be provided, but also kind of the psychology of things. What are the right gifts for consumers? And these businesses have turned to be extremely valuable for the owners of such programs as well. So if you look at airline loyalty programs, and of course everybody here in this region we're very familiar with Etihad Guest, Emirates Skywards, or Qatar Airways Privilege Club, or Saudia's program, or Riyadh Air's program. Gulf Air is now basically building out a very kind of new, interesting initiative in that space as well. These programs, they represent sometimes often billion-dollar valuations for the airlines.
And I do feel that these programs by the airlines here in the GCC has so much to offer. Like they're unmatchable rewards sometimes I see coming from these different promos which we see all the time.
Yes, I'm sure as a consumer, as a member, you get very interesting, all kind of campaigns with content and offers to you. In the world, I would say that the Middle Eastern airline programs are definitely on the cutting edge front end of what these programs should be, how they should be run, how the innovation is being done. So we're in a happy place in the world in that sense, dealing with a lot of innovation and
True,
forward
we're blessed
thinking.
that way, I
Yes.
must say. And Gabby, we were having our discussion before the show when you first got here. So you were telling me that you said something very interesting, which I do not know, that the loyalty programs have been here since the 80s.
Correct. The first airline loyalty program was 1981, was created by American Airlines at the time.
That's even way before I was born.
Well, I wish I could say the same. It's not the same for me, but yes, 1981 was when it started first with American Airlines, and quite quickly other airlines jumped on the bandwagon there to run similar programs. And from there, they have evolved in very important business levers. Not because in the end, all these airlines or banks, they don't just run it out of the goodness of their heart. There's also a strong business reason in there, that you want to recognize consumers that you had for a long time and keep them loyal to you, and then to build these programs.
And always have something good to offer.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's about kind of the right kind of consumer insights and gifts that you can basically bring to them at that point in time. So that's that's where the trick lies. How do you combine marketing with insights, with financial savviness, and how do you run such programs?
Right. And how does companies like LoyalLogic actually connect brands, financial institutions, and the consumers both globally and, of course, here in the Middle East?
Yeah, so we call it brands to community. So on one hand side, you have, let's start with the community. So let's say we're dealing with a community of a pet owners loyalty program. Then you start by analyzing, okay, what what is unique about this particular community. So these are dog or cat owners, and basically maybe you're a first-time dog owner, and then you've got a different needs maybe for what kind of gifts you would like to receive when you go through the motions in such a kind of a program. So you start analyzing how big can the reward get if you save after 1 year of points in such a program. And then on the other side, the brands, there's plenty of brands out there, thousands and thousands of brands, who would like to get in front with their latest product or their offering in front of these communities. So it's our job to be, let's say, the matchmaker via our technology to figure out how do you make sense of tens of millions of products in your backend system to put the relevant offering in front of the catalog. So we very firmly believe that you should not throw everything at consumers. It's overwhelming. Imagine if you would go to a program and you see like 3 million gifts to choose from, you don't know where to start. So we need to curate it. We need to basically think carefully about like what is meaningful, what kind of brands would like to be in front there, and then come up with all the time ever-changing kind of new content and new offers in there.
Too much can be really overwhelming. You're right about that.
Yes.
And now talking about the personalization and the AI. So how is AI and the data personalization changing the way loyalty programs are rewarding to the customers today?
Yeah, it builds a little bit on that previous example what I just mentioned. Like if you got tens of millions of products sitting on the back end in there, now AI of course is beautifully suited to help you when you describe properly what is the essence of the DNA of that community that you're dealing with, and how large or small can the gifts be.
DNA of the community.
The DNA
so
of the
the community has got DNA as well.
Well, of course, basically, if you
Wow,
deal with
okay.
like kind of a frequent flyer program in the Middle East, might be very different from a banking loyalty program in South Africa, who maybe their main clients are on lower income segments. They've got very different needs and wants in life, and so you need to think carefully about. So in that last example, we would think about much more utility-driven rewards, because maybe people want to use their points for free gasoline or topping up their mobile phone, or like kind of much more utility-driven rewards, rather than in a frequent flyer program to a platinum tier member who wants to spend his or her points on kind of luxury or gold or like expensive suitcases. So you need to find the right balance that resonates.
So again, it comes to classifying them into the right category.
And that's where AI plays a very big role, to come up with how do you curate that, how do you basically make that the offering depth and breadth kind of relevant for such a particular program. And there we've invested a lot and are investing a lot in that space to build these kind of catalogs without too much manual interference, kind of highly relevant.
So AI helps you and, of course, the consumers to get the right kind of reward at the right time in real time.
Exactly, because kind of it makes our job easier. Well, not easier. We still need to build all these things, of course, but it makes it much better in terms of being personalized and relevant for the consumer. Which is in the end, if a loyalty currency, if you cannot do something meaningful with your points or miles in itself are not. That don't mean anything. They're just kind of a means to a particular gift. So if you can make sense of that particular gift, then things basically start working. If the consumers see value in that loyalty currency, they will reward you as the program owner with more engagement, more transactions. And it's also not only, the days are gone when consumers or programs only rewarded their consumers for buying things. It's now much broader. So we see banks who want to stimulate financial responsible behavior and living by their consumers. So they would give points for increasing your credit score, for example.
True.
So they are
for
on
their
the side.
expenses.
Yes, and they want to be on the side, like kind of helping you as a consumer to basically finding your way and like understanding. I think credit scores are a great example. A lot of times people underestimate the importance of having a good credit score, not knowing that they might otherwise not get a loan or a mortgage, etc. So it's an example where banks are also rewarding these kind of behaviors rather than just pure swipe your credit card and get X number of points. So it's interesting to see how these program propositions are developing, and how more and more industries are taking these loyalty learnings and for their own program designs, and we see that in many. That's the other part that's fun of the job. One day you would sit with the head of marketing of a bank. Next day you would sit with the head of marketing of pet food, what I mentioned, and there are universal kind of truths in loyalty marketing that apply in all these programs. Funnily enough, that transcend industries or also even geographies. Like I had the pleasure of living both in Europe and in Singapore and in Shanghai and in Switzerland, now in Dubai. And it doesn't matter too much if you're dealing with kind of Dutch kind of members or members in the UAE or Brazilian members or Chinese. There are quite a lot of things that are simply human and universal, wanting to be recognized, being rewarded, getting something meaningful and personalized back in there. And that's where technology.
So you do not see so much of a change in that DNA there?
Well, there's different kind of gifts and that resonate with different kind of audiences. Like,
of course,
one of our number one redemption items here in the Middle East is gold, which is very interesting because you don't see that in many other regions and markets. So we see lots of members in the airline programs that we're involved with here in the region, redeeming their miles for either a chance to win gold or for kind of golden. That would you would not see so much in a European loyalty program, for example. So it's important to see what resonates
with the community, the market.
Yes,
makes sense. And now, are you seeing the traditional points-based programs evolve or emerge differently here in the region? Do you see them still relevant?
Yeah, so I think that points or miles, they are a very time-tested kind of mechanic. So I don't see that changing, but what I see is kind of it's evolving into much richer propositions on like what you can do with those points and also how you. It's not only about how when you can spend them, but it's also how easy it is to earn them, maybe outside your own ecosystem. So imagine if you're an airline, people only fly you maybe 3-4 times per year. Now, how do you stay part of the life of your consumer base while people are not flying with you? And so you see a lot of the airline propositions have created very interesting ways to also be part of the daily life when people are shopping online, and then they can earn some miles when they're shopping on their preferred online partners. And so we also support clients with that, where we are literally in the checkout button of the most popular online websites, where then people can either spend their miles or earn miles or any combination in between, pay partly cash, partly miles. And what it does to these kind of programs is that it keeps them relevant also when you're not actually using their own products.
And I think this is a great initiative because sometimes we, the consumers, we don't know where to use our points. We just keep collecting, but then we don't know where to actually redeem. So I think
yes,
it helps a lot
there's
with
a famous saying in our industry that basically is called burn drives earn. Burn means like you use your points or your miles. Earn is when you earn them. And there's a lot of data that shows like when people redeem their points or miles, then they get much more active in the program afterwards because they've seen like, okay, the program is fun, it's fair, I'm getting something that's valuable. Let me now basically maybe change my behavior somewhat to be even more active in that program. So a very important metric in these programs is like what percentage of points and miles is being redeemed and how long does it take for the first redemption to take place. And so in this industry, it's not only technology and the incentives, it's also how do you track all these kind of metrics. And then the tricky part for a lot of operators of such programs is how do you prove to the board that this program also creates value, because 80% of these loyalty programs budget goes into the actual gifts going to the consumers. Mm-hmm. So, and these numbers are in the hundreds of millions easily for larger kind of programs. So you can imagine that the CFO of a business asks, okay, what are we seeing in return out of this? Is it influencing kind of the behavior, or would I have had these customers anyway? And over the last 10, 15 years, the industry has gotten much more mature on how to measure such impact and demonstrate like what is the influence on an individual level of the lifetime value of such a consumer when they redeem and when they got in the program. So there's a lot of metrics around it that we also work actively with our clients with to also help them to show that value, because in the end, yeah, gifts are beautiful, but kind of also kind of CFOs' heads are usually kind of, okay, who's funding the gift and basically does it really add value? So The answer is a firm yes, but you need to be able to prove that continuously.
Right. So I think you've put it so nicely into words and also added so much to information with regards to that because receiving a gift is someone's, it's everyone's favorite and we love getting gifts, but there is so much of stress behind that when
We
it's getting
always
organized.
yeah, we always use like the analogy in our company, like never become the lazy friend in that sense. So like imagine like we've known each other for 30 years and then I show up on somebody's 50th birthday and I said, oh, I've known you so long and I was thinking, what can I get you? What can I get you? And then I give you an Amazon gift card. That would be a bit of a lazy friend kind of example, right? And you don't want to be the lazy friend in private life. And
Okay.
also brands, when you deal with your best customers, you don't want to be seen or felt by
The
that
same
important
way.
customer as the
Yeah.
lazy friend. So yeah, that's
And Gabby, what is your advice to businesses who are looking to build the loyalty programs that truly are going to engage customers in current time in 2026?
yeah. So it depends, of course, a little bit what kind of business you are. Kind of in a lot of the larger industries, they have existing programs, and then it really comes down to thinking much deeper. I would say about understanding your community. So if you deeply understand your community, the right strategy on the gifts and the program will almost fall kind of naturally in there. So to people who have programs already, I would strongly encourage them to think about deeply what is the DNA of your community and what makes your community so special and what would they love to see. There's a great program in the United States, a company called Build Rewards, which is a loyalty program built around people who rent apartments. So they dealt with a renters community and they deeply analyzed what were the elements that really were important to that community, which was like local gyms and local restaurants and local festivals. And so they built a proposition around that part. And so, but it came from deeply understanding that community. So I think that would be my tip to people who have an existing program. If you don't have a program yet, maybe if you're smaller, medium enterprise, start small and think about kind of the right proof of concept. Basically, scope that well. Basically, don't try to boil the ocean in one go. Basically, build something short term, measurable, and then build on there because the results will be very good. But it helps, of course, if you need to prove your way to owners or the board that kind of this is a wise investment.
Right. So thank you so much for that advice. And now moving on, because you have worked so closely, or your industry works so closely with the customers. So from your years of leading in this space, what's one key insight about building meaningful customer relationships?
So you need to put the customer in control and it needs to be personalized. So what I mean with customer in control means that sometimes companies or programs are afraid to send maybe too much communication or information or offers to a particular member. So they will have their CRM system set up to with suppression rules. It's called don't send more than X number of messages to this member or that member. The reality is, if you put consumers in control, some members will say, please don't send me more than 2 times per month. It's fine. But let me opt out on individual level. Other consumers will say, send me more. I love what I'm basically getting in there if it's personalized. So I think on the CRM and the loyalty and the personalization part, you need to put the customer in control and you need to give them enough choice. Don't decide for them basically what they might like. Of course, you need to have your certain kind of thinking and strategy around it. You put that, you test that, but then don't try to make it too narrow. So if you run a program where you only offer cashback or your own product as a redemption item, you usually will see limited results because it just kind of cannibalizes actually a bit of your revenue that you might already anyway have had. More choice you give within control, in a controlled manner, you will probably see that consumers will reward you with seeing more value in your currency. And then, the love affair starts from there, hopefully.
Okay, so we do understand that the successful loyalty is built on trust and relevance.
That's very well put, yes.
Thank you so much, Gabby, for being a part of this show today and sharing your insights on the future of loyalty, the AI driven personalization, and the trends that we can expect in 2026. It's been fascinating to hear from you today. And we do have to touch upon a different topic that we were discussing behind the scenes today. For that, we would like to have you come over again after Ramadan, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course, it would be a pleasure. Thanks for having me today.
It will be great to have you again. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
And now, before we wrap up, a quick shout out to Tim Elliott and a resident legal expert, Raymond Kiswani, partner at Davidson & Co. Don't miss their insights that will help you stay protected and informed. Catch the fine print every Tuesday here on Mira Business FM. Watch the full episodes on YouTube, and you can find them on your favorite podcast platforms as well. That brings us to the end of today's Midday Majlis. I'll be back with more engaging conversations and interesting discussions. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Mira Business FM. That's all for today. Signing off.
Mira Business FM, your daily guide to the markets, money, and more.